What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Darklord deck profile. So I'm really excited to do some for you guys because this deck is an extremely fun deck to play that just got some amazing support. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Darklord Shell. Darklord Shell is definitely a 3-of in the build because this card is absolutely incredible. With the ability, you can actually discard this card and one other Darklord card to be able to draw 2 cards, which is an amazing ability to help you dig in the deck for the exact card that you need. This card also has the ability during either player's turn, you can pay 1,000 life points and then target one Darklord spell or trap card in your graveyard and apply that target's effect, then shuffle it into the deck, which is a great ability to help you copy your spells and trap cards to be able to also recycle your resources and get some insane effects. We then play 2 copies of Darklord Superbia. Darklord Superbia is definitely a 2-of in the build because this card is awesome to be able to bring back from your graveyard, as when this card is special summoned from the graveyard, you can target a fairy type monster in the grave and special summon it back to your side of the field, except a copy of Superbia. We then play a single copy of Darklord Nazdan. Nazdan is great as a 1-of in the build because this card is an awesome extender with the ability you can actually discard 2 other Darklord cards to special summon this card from your hand. This card also shares the exact same effects as your copy of Shell to be able to pay 1,000 life points, shuffle one of your Darklord spells or traps back in the deck, and copy that card's ability, which is so cool to be able to do. We then play a single copy of Darklord Morningstar. Morningstar is an amazing combo piece in the deck to help you go in for the first Darklord, so we can destroy our opponent's cards. But this card also has a really cool ability. If this card is Tribute Summon, you can actually special summon Darklord monsters from your hand or deck up to the number of effect monsters that your opponent controls, which is a great ability to help you swarm the board with your Darklords. We then play 3 copies of Indulged Darklord. Indulged Darklord is a great normal summon in the deck that has a really cool ability that in this card is normal or special summon. You can take 2 Darklord monsters from your hand or deck with different levels and special summon one of them to your opponent's field and defense and add the other to your hand, which is a great ability to special summon to your opponent's side of the field a copy of Ukobak and be able to add your copy of Morningstar from your deck to your hand. So we can go in for the first Darklord, but Ukobak is really good as a 1-of in the build, is if you do summon this card to your side of the field, it's a Foolish Burial for Darklord, which is pretty cool. We then play 3 copies of Aluber. Aluber is really good as a 3-of in the build, as this card searches Branded Fusion, because if this card is null or special summon, you can add a branded spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is an amazing ability to instantly get your copy of Branded Fusion. And then you see a copy of Despian Tragedy. Tragedy is great as a 1-of in the build because if this card is sent to the graveyard or banished by a card effect, you can actually add a Despia monster from your deck to your hand. You can also banish this card from the graveyard and then target a branded spell trap card in the graveyard and set it to your field, which is a great effect to be able to use to instantly get our copy of Branded Fusion back to the field. But you can only use one effect of this card per turn and only once that turn. And lay a single copy of Ad Libitum. Ad Libitum is really cool as a 1-of in the build because this card has the ability, if this card is used as a fusion material and it's actually in your hand or your field and it's used as a fusion material and sent to the grave or banish, you can actually target a Despia monster or a level 8 or higher fusion monster that's banished in the graveyard, accept a copy of Ad Libitum, and special summon it, which is a pretty cool ability just to get you an additional monster to your side of the field. We then play 2 copies of Fallen of Albaz. Fallen of Albaz is basically a walking super polymerization, and it's really cool in this deck to help you go in for your copy of Branded Fusion and step into some really awesome fusion plays. We then play 2 copies of Buno the Dawn's Light. This card is amazing because we can actually search out Mutiny in the Sky of this card's ability, as this card has the ability monsters in your leftmost or rightmost main monster zones cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can actually add a Mutiny in the Sky from your deck to your hand, which is an incredible new fusion spell that can help us step into Lucy, the Dusk's Dark, or a copy of the first Darklord. We then play a single copy of Darklord Christia. Darklord Christia is crazy powerful and ends games all on its own, as if this card's on the field, neither player can special summon monsters, and it's so easy to summon in this deck. As if you have exactly four fairy type monsters in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand to your side of the field, and if it's summoned this way, we get to target a fairy monster in the graveyard and add it back to our hand, which is a great ability to recover cards like a copy of a shell so we can keep drawing in this deck. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Branded Fusion. Branded Fusion is amazing to help us go over all of our awesome fusion plays, but it is searchable off your copy of Luber, which is so cool. But this card is currently 1, so we can only play 1 copy. We can play a single copy of Mutiny in the Sky. Mutiny in the Sky is searchable off your copy of Buno, so this card is definitely a 1-of in the build, plus it will recover itself out of the graveyard, and this card has the ability you get to fusion summon a Fiend or a Fairy fusion monster from your X deck by shuffling Fiend and or Fairy monsters from the graveyard into the deck as material, helping you go over some really insane fusion plays. Also, if this card's in the graveyard, you can send a Fiend or a Fairy monster from your hand or face it from the field to the graveyard to add this card back to your hand, so you can use it all over again on the follow-up, but this card is a once per turn. We play a single copy of Despia Theater. This card is really good as a 1-of in the build because this card is actually a field spell, fusion spell. With the ability, during your main phase, you can actually fusion summon a level 8 or higher fusion monster from your X deck using monsters from your hand or field as a material, which is a great ability to help us step into all sorts of really cool fusion plays using this card. This card also has a really cool ability if a face-up non-fusion fairy monster you control leaves the field by an opponent's card effect or destroyed by battle, you can actually target a level 8 or higher fusion monster in your graveyard and special summon it, which is an incredible ability to help you bring back one of your fusion monsters. We play a single copy of Branded in Red. Branded in Red is really good as a 1-of in the build, basically help us step into some really cool fusion plays, because you can target a Despia monster or a Fallen of Albaz in the graveyard, add it back to your hand, then you get to fusion summon a level 8 or higher fusion monster from your X deck by banishing the fusion materials listed on it from your hand or field, but it cannot attack directly this turn, helping you bring out another fusion monster to your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Branded Opening. Branded Opening is an amazing 3-of in the build because this card lets you discard a card and then take a copy of a Luber from the deck and special summon it to your side of the field in defense position so we can search out our copy of Branded Fusion. This card also has the ability if a fusion monster you control would be destroyed by a card effect, you may discard from the grave instead, which is a great effect to help you protect your monsters. We then play 3 copies of Banishment of the Darklords. Banishment is definitely a 3-of in the build because this card is basically Rhoda for Darklords, letting you add any Darklord card you want from your deck to your hand. Plus, we can actually copy this card with Naston or our copy of a shell and shuffle it back in the deck, which is so cool to be able to do. But this card is definitely a 3-of in the build. We then play 3 copies of Darklord Contact. Contact is basically a monster reborn for Darklords, letting you special summon a Darklord monster from the graveyard in defense position, but you can only activate this effect once per turn. We then play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. Allure of Darkness is great to help us dig in the deck, especially since we play so many different dark monsters in this build, and it's insane to be able to play this card and your copy of a shell that are both letting you draw 2 cards. We then play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Super Poly is definitely a 3-of in the build to help us break our opponent's boards while also stepping in some really cool fusion monsters, and with your copy of Indulged Darklord being able to hand your opponent a Darklord monster, all we need is to put one more Darklord monster on the field and we can actually Super Poly into a copy of the first Darklord, which is incredible. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start with a single copy of Darklord Uprising. Darklord Uprising is a great fusion trap with the ability to send a Darklord monster from your hand or face home field to the graveyard to fusion summon a dark fusion monster from your X deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. Then you can gain life points equal to the original attack of the monster sent to the graveyard to activate this card's effect, but you only activate one of this card per turn. We lay a single copy of Darklord Rebellion. Darklord Rebellion is great to help us pop cards on the field. With the ability, you can send a Darklord monster from your hand or face from field to the graveyard to destroy one card on the field. And the cool thing about these cards is when you use the effect of a Shell or Naston to be able to actually shuffle these cards back in the deck to copy their effects, you actually don't have to send a monster to the graveyard to activate either of these effects. You just get the activated effect, which is so cool about these cards. So, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start with a single copy of Lucy the Dusk's Dark. This card is an incredible boss monster that's so fun to be able to play in the deck and so easy to summon off your copy of Mutiny in the Sky. This card is able to take 3 Fiend and/or Fairy monsters in your graveyard to be able to make this card, and has the ability of monsters in your leftmost or rightmost main monster zones cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, this card has an insane effect that you can actually target one card that your opponent controls, send a Fiend or a Fairy monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, destroy that card. And if another card you control is destroyed by a card effect, you can actually target a card in the field and destroy it, which is a great effect to help you pop cards on the field, while also being a massive Foolish Burial, which is so cool. We made 2 copies of the first Darklord. First Darklord is an insane boss monster that's basically our big boss monster of this deck. When this card has the ability, takes 3 Dark Fairy monsters to be able to make this card, which all of our Despia monsters are actually Dark Fairies, meaning it's super easy to fusion summon this card. When this card has the ability, your opponent cannot target Fairy monsters you control with card effects, and you can activate either or of this card's effects once per turn. And if this card is fusion summoned using a copy of Darklord Morningstar as a material, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls, or during the main phase, quick effect, you can actually pay 1,000 life points to special summon a Fairy monster from your hand or your graveyard and defense position, instantly bringing out a monster to your side of the field. We can lay a single copy of Quiritis. This card is great as a 1-0 in the build to help you OTK your opponent, as during the main phase, quick effect, you can actually change the attack of all monsters currently on the field to 0 until the end of the turn, except level 5 or level 8 or higher fusion monsters, which is great to basically just drop everything on the field down to 0, except level 8 or higher fusion monsters, so you can swing in for game. We lay a single copy of Masquerade, the Blazing Dragon. This card is absolutely amazing to be able to play, because this actually makes your opponent pay life points to activate anything. As while you control this fusion summon card, your opponent must pay 600 life points to activate cards or effects, which is an incredible ability to help you go in for game by lowering your opponent's life points down by a lot. This card also has the ability if your opponent controls a Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Exe, or Link monster. While this card's in the graveyard, quick effect, you can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. Lay a single copy of Priskinian. Priskinian is really good as a super poly target, as during the main phase, quick effect, you can target a Fusion, Synchro, Exe, or Link monster in your opponent's graveyard and banish it, or special summon it to your side of the field, which is great to basically just take one of our opponent's monsters for our own. Also, when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack or defense, whichever is higher, just doing some burn damage to the opponent. Lay a single copy of Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade's great in the deck to basically just use this card to spot remove cards off the field. Lay a single copy of Lubellion. Lubellion's basically a card that helps us fusion summon by recycling resources into our deck, which is super cool. We then play 2 copies of Albion. Albion's great as a 2-of in the build. Basically, use this card as a walking miracle fusion, help us step into some really cool fusion plays. Plus, this card has a great ability, and if this card is sent to the graveyard this turn during the end phase, you can actually add to your hand or set a branded spell or trap directly from your deck to your side of the field, which is a great effect. And when we play 2 copies of this card in the deck, 1 to summon and 1 to send off our copy of Mirror Jade. We then play a single copy of Guardian Chimera. Guardian Chimera is great as a 1-of in the build. Basically just use this card as a draw 2 and a pop 1, or a pop 2 and a draw 1, which is great to be able to do, but we usually summon this card off your copy of Branded in Red. We lay a single copy of Dracos Tapilia, because this card is a walking negate, plus it's a really good super poly target. 1 copy of Garua and a single copy of Mud Dragon, because these cards are basically the best super poly targets in the entire game. We lay a single copy of Condemned Darklord. I feel like 1 copy is really all you need in this build, because we're basically very fusion focused and can get locked into fusion summoning extremely easily. So I feel like 1 copy is really all you need. This card is great because to actually tribute summon any fairy monster that requires 2 tributes, you can banish 2 monsters from grave instead of tributing, and it also has the ability that it's treated as a tribute summon. You can also discard a card to take a Darklord monster from the deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. And during the end phase, you actually gain 500 life points for each fairy monster on the field, which is a pretty cool effect. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is so fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a branded Darklord deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try, because it's so fun to be able to play, and it's insane how easy it is to summon out the copy of Lucy, the Dusk Dark, and the boost that this deck got by just 3 awesome support cards. So that's gonna do this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell next to come for our notification squad. And see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.